mix the pizza dough. It's very simple. It just takes a couple minutes, and then time does the work after that. If you have already worked the bread recipes from my first book, Flour, Water, Salt, Yeast, you'll find the process similar, but it's not exactly the same. So the ingredients are mixed in a different order. It's streamlined. It's actually easier to do, and it makes a better pizza dough. So we can call it progress. Like the first book, we use a scale to measure the ingredients because it's more accurate. Enough said, all right? We put the container, the empty dough tub. I use a 6-quart dough tub. You can use a little bit smaller. This will be the very minimum size. But I like the 6-quart tub because I can get my hand around inside. When you're buying these, if you don't have one already, make sure you get a lid to match. So put it on the scale, zero out your scale, water at a specific temperature, and there's a video I did to go with the first book that shows you how to do that if you're not comfortable with it. And then we just pour the water into the bucket. Sometimes I get a little bit much, and I just keep another container to get me down to the exact number that I want. Which we go like that. Donezo. And then the next ingredient is the salt. Perfect. Almost. Now it's perfect. We add the salt to the water in the dough tub. And you can stir, but the easiest thing to do is just swoosh it around like that, and the salt dissolves rapidly. Then we want to weigh out the yeast. For this, we use very small amounts of yeast in this dough. It's typical for Neapolitan pizza dough, and it's how we've been making pizza dough at my pizzeria for a long time. It's very small amounts of yeast, less than you would use for bread. For this particular recipe, it calls for 0.3 grams of dry instant yeast. You can get this scale. I paid about $12 for, and it's accurate to the hundredth of a gram. So I actually recommend buying these. But if you don't have one, 1/4 teaspoon is reliably 1 gram of yeast. So if you want 0.3 grams, then you want 1/3 of the 1/4 teaspoon in your 1/4 teaspoon. So that's about what this is. I put it in here, and I just swoosh the water around. The yeast takes about a minute to dissolve, so I wait a moment for that to happen. And then the next ingredient is the flour. I use the 00 flour. I also use shepherd's grain flour. Sometimes it just depends on what I have on hand. Different flours have different absorbency characteristics. So the shepherd's grain flour absorbs more water than the 00 flour. So I put a little bit more water when I'm using shepherd's grain flour. The dough recipes in the book were written for the Caputo 00 flour, so you can reliably go with those recipe amounts. Alright, the salt and the yeast are dissolved. So here we have the flour, and you need to buy the book to get the recipe. Make sure you zero your scale. And then I weigh in flour according to the recipe requirement. Almost. Notice my finger is a great tool. Alright, so this is it for all the ingredients. And then the rest takes half a minute. We're going to mix it by hand. I just swirl around with my fingers in my hand inside the dough tub, and you can see, with just a little bit of action, it's almost done. I scrape it around off the sides. I reach my hand underneath to get the loose flour incorporated, and then I use what I call the pincer method in my first book, where I use this kind of motion with my hand, and I squeegee all the way through the dough. And what it does, I do this over and over, just a half dozen or so times. It incorporates the remaining loose flour into the dough. And you can see this takes no time at all. And I'm almost done. At this stage, it is finished, except I got some flour schmutz on my fingers. Actually, there's a there's a picture in the book that shows my hand like this. You're probably wondering, what is that? You just go like this to get the rest of it off. Sort of squeegee the dough bits into the dough tub. And that's it. Your dough is mixed.